Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Space Monkey Mafia here, and today is Wednesday. So it's going to be Quarantine 2 tank, and that has currently 2 male Umbellas, 2 females, and 1 giant bubble nest in the corner. By the time I'm actually filming the tank, there may be eggs. I hope not. I already have 2 spawns to deal with. I may also move the parent male into there because he hasn't been eating, taking care of the babies, and it's been almost 2 weeks at this point, so I'm getting a little concerned about him. So I'll probably move him in there just so he gets food. And if that happens, I'll move him in right before I film so that you guys can see them all pretty and flaring at each other. Because it's pretty cool, honestly. And they don't hurt each other, so. Oh, and also we're going to be doing ProRevenge. I know you guys like that. I think I found some good ones. Or at least ones I like. And that's what really counts. I'm kidding. It's what you guys want. Revenge on a university teacher. I graduated university a few years ago, and this story comes from my first year for my degree. I was in a business degree course, having enjoyed studies of business in school and enjoying researching business-related topics in my own time. Before I go further, I should disclaim that I am autistic. This will be important later. It also explains why what I consider an interest in business for me may be considered an obsession by others. I'm considered high-functioning, whilst I occasionally struggle in social situations. It mainly comes off as me being rather blunt. Also, just an aside from me, if you guys don't know what to take in college, business is a good major to fall back on because you can use that in practically every single field, and you get tips from it where you can learn how to sell yourself to the company, because that's kind of what an interview is, and it will come in useful. So if you don't know what to do, business isn't a bad thing to fall back on. So for the degree, we had several classes. Every class makes up a portion of the overall grade, etc. In the first year, we had no choice in regards of the classes. The majority of these classes were really fun and engaging. My teachers were very supportive to me, and my classmates were too. I felt I belonged at university, whereas I hated school with a passion. At university, I could study and argue points beyond a linear construct of syllabus. Basically, I'm trying to say that so long as you could prove your argument with academic credibility, you could make it, and that debates were fruitful. I also had good relationships with my support worker, who is there to aid disabled students, and my personal teacher, someone every student is assigned, who is head of a specific degree/discipline. One class, however, was horrid. On the first day of class, the teacher, who we will refer to as Miss B, came into class and we all had out our laptops or notebooks. She began scrawling what I could only describe as hieroglyphs on a whiteboard. It looked like algebra, only worse. I've never been good at mathematics, breaking the age-old autistic equals good at math stereotype. I was just typing notes blindly, trying to write everything down, but it made no sense to me. At the end of class, I introduced myself and explained I had a learning disability and that I might need some help going forward. She seemed dismissive, saying, "It's okay, this stuff is easy, you would have learned it in high school," and then abruptly left. A few weeks passed, and I was taking down all the notes and still not understanding it. I logged into the school portal website. It was there all our content was hosted, e.g. assignment briefs, reading lists, points of contact, etc. I was confused to find our class was the only one with nothing in the reading list. Every other class had several textbooks, journals, and other sources students could go to for extra information or clarification. After a class one day, I went to Miss B and asked if there was any reading material, e.g. textbooks I could read so I could try to understand said theory, as there was nothing on the student portal website. She said in a very confident manner, "As I said to you before, this is high school level stuff. Anyone would be able to do this simple work." I explained I struggled at math in school and that as an older/mature student, my school days were almost a decade ago. She shrugged and left the classroom, and I was feeling very frustrated. In any other class, if I didn't understand something from the lecture, I could look it up in the textbooks, online, etc. to get a different perspective. If I still didn't quite understand, I could go to a teacher and ask. They were happy to help me, as they could see I had attempted to understand said theory. During one of the classes, I raised a hand and asked a question about a value of the letter x, as I didn't understand a certain equation. Miss B looked at me smirking, saying it was simple, and asked if anyone else in the class was confused. No one else raised a hand or spoke, so she continued. Okay, first of all, excuse you? I can't deal with this. If someone asks a question, why can't you answer it? I had a teacher who wouldn't do that, and later on we just found out she was stupid and she didn't know how to actually do the equations herself. Like, I'm not even kidding. It was the worst 7th year. Like, I did my homework, I went up and asked, I was like, "Hey, is this the right way to do it?" She's like, "Oh wow, you found the right answer," and like called over a teacher assistant. She's like, "Look, she figured out how to do it. Can you show us how to do it?" And I was like, Are you serious? Anyway, I'm sorry. This math teachers, I've not had a good experience. Anything that's pro-revenge with math teachers, that's mine. I love it. I love this stuff. At the end of class, I went to lots of classmates asking for their help. They confided in me that they also didn't understand that class, but were afraid to speak out. This carried on for a month or so with me asking for help, writing the notes blindly, etc., until we were given our first official assignment. What I did work-wise I was not proud of, however in my defense with not understanding the content, I was just trying to cobble something together. I would email Miss B asking to clarify bits, ask for help, my emails would be read receipt, but not replied to. I asked her about office hours, to which she replied, "I don't do that." For context, office hours are a time where teachers allow students to come to them with anything, e.g. academic problems, questions, career options, etc. All teachers offered them, just not her. I tried to hand in the work online. Our university has a policy, all work must be submitted online for cheat detection software and many other reasons. Miss B told us she would only accept paper versions and that the online portal was not to be used. When myself and other students questioned her, she needed to see the work and its true potential and left it at that. So we complied, printed, and handed it in to Miss B on time. A few weeks later in class, she calls out students to collect their assignments, papers, with grades. The thing is, she reads them out not by name, but by grade order. We were all shocked. It meant the sooner your name was called out, the higher your grade, and the longer you waited, the lower your grade would be. I waited and waited until I was called forward. I was very anxious and went back to my seat. I tuned out of the class and read over the paper. I had just scored a pass mark, but I was mad. Miss B had written comments such as, "shows no understanding of the content, no efforts made, poor aptitude of the relevant theories." At this point, I was shaking with anger. I marched out the class and she asked, "Where are you going?" I didn't say anything, I didn't stop. I knew if I did, I would have gotten angry. I immediately went to see my personal teacher and support worker. It took them a long time to calm me down and said they would look into the matters. After that, I went to speak to a classmate who were read out before me, asking if they could explain the theory. All of them explained they had no idea how they even passed, let alone get a high grade. Keep a side note of this. A week later, Miss B comes into class looking agitated, proclaiming a reading list of a single textbook was available on the student portal, much to the relief of the other students. She also exclaimed she would now offer office hours for students with the same level as enthusiasm as someone would have for watching paint dry. Unfortunately, the book was not in our university library, and we would have to buy it ourselves, which all students know, textbooks new are very pricey. I bought the book, but it made little difference with my lack of understanding. I spoke to a classmate who did the same. They too didn't understand it. It felt like the book and the class were completely different. The office hours were another thing. I asked when I could see her. She informed me her next available spot was in 3 months' time. I asked a classmate to ask her. She told him she could see him that afternoon. Another classmate was told it was a 4-month wait. Something was amiss. She also exclaimed some students were struggling with basic high school math, and she would put some basic math on the student portal website. The problem was she photocopied them from a book. The pictures were blurry, so even if they did have useful content, they were illegible. Shortly after this, we had an exam on the subject. Again, I was worried. I had no idea what to expect. I was in a different exam room to the other students as I get support in exam conditions as I struggle with some aspects of reading. I'm also mildly dyslexic, so get a reader support worker. Partway through the test, Miss B comes in and asks if I'm okay. I was a bit shocked. I had never had teachers in an exam before, but maybe this is how they do tests at university? I stated honestly I understood nothing despite buying the textbook, despite coming to see her, despite seeing my support worker, and despite consulting with my classmates. Miss B then proceeds to tell me the answers. Stunned, I say, "What?" She orders me to write. I look over to the support worker whose jaw has dropped. Miss B leaves and the support worker stops me and says, "I have to report this." I acknowledge and the test is stopped. Afterwards, I speak to other students. Other students with special needs she came and told the answers to, but not the other students. I was very concerned and confused and unsure what this meant for my grade. Months passed again of the same old. I would furiously take down notes blindly, my classmates and I in a state of despair. However, one day I asked another question in class, and Miss B, in a very snarky tone, said something along the lines of, "You're the only student who doesn't understand this simple equation." She looks to the rest of the class stating, "Everyone else gets it." Slowly, one other student says, "I don't," then another and another. I was reminded of the famous "I am Spartacus" bit. She looked mad as 28 of the 30-student class raised their hands and objected, saying they didn't get it. Miss B looked angry, stopped the lecture, stating we couldn't behave, so she wouldn't teach and left. Wow, how mature of that teacher. I can't. A few weeks later, Miss B gave us what would be our final assignment for the class. She explained we had to write a report on a choice of reports as to how they use whatever algebraic theory we were meant to understand, and we had to do this in groups. In the assignment brief, we were meant to write the report on the report, but we weren't allowed to cite the original report. We asked Miss B for clarification. She explained it was academically lazy to cite any of the reports directly, and instead we had to find the original citation from the report and cite that, making it a lot more work. We spent the next week just panicking. The reports were so confusing, there was no easy one to choose from. All of this bubbled up. In all my other classes, I was achieving high grades like 80, 90 average. Despite this class so far, I was barely passing at 40. Is that passing? I don't know what... Huh. The whole thing led to a very bad mental health crisis. I won't get dark here. It led to intervention from local government mental health services. After this, myself and classmates arranged to meet up with high-ups at the school to discuss our issues. Up till now, we had done all informal process of talking to the tutor, reading the textbook, and this new assignment was very, very hard. At this meeting, they asked why we wanted to see them. We explained it was about the class as a whole and the second assignment. They looked confused, citing that there was no second assignment. We gave them the brief. These higher academics, professors, etc. eyes widened. They told us there was to be only one assignment and one exam. They asked to see the reports we were to analyze. One of the professors' mouth dropped. The suspense and silence was palpable. They explained to us the reports we were to analyze would be set for master's degree or PhD students, and that first-year undergraduates were not expected to meet this level of work. They told us to cease the work immediately. They told us to put together a formal complaint and showed us the paperwork, single A4 sheet, to submit. Moments after leaving the meeting, an email went out to the whole year group from one of these professors citing the work on the assignment was to stop immediately. Miss B replied all, saying students could still do it for extra credit. The professor replied to all students saying that was false and that she needed to meet him immediately. To any other student, they must have thought, what the heck is going on? To me, though, I was just singing internally, but I was not done. The complaint I went to homework on. I filled in all my academic notes, all the emails I ever sent her in this report. I went to a classmate for witness testimonials for what she did in class. I approached and got a statement from my exam support worker and got a copy of some classmates' exams who got high grades. Reading the test, I noticed we had similar answers to my work and that of other students. The grading was sporadic and random, to be polite. For example, one of the answers to a question was 4x. I wrote 4x and got 1 point. My classmate wrote 4x and they scored 3 points. Actually, this has happened to me in real life. We got a math teacher, and so for my 1/3 of the triumvirate video, that's one of my friends. Straight up, we had the exact same answer. And my friend got 1 point, I got 4 points. And she went up to the teacher, she's like, what's up? And the teacher said, I was just feeling nice when I was grading Space Monkey Mafia's paper, don't worry about it. And she's like, can I have my points back? And she said no. And, my friend was like, okay, kind of mad, obviously, and went back and sat down, and the teacher, snapped. She just went nuts. She called her up to the front of the classroom and started screaming at her, just yelling, for, 2 straight minutes. And my friend was just looking there like, what the heck's going on? And she's like, well, I see these 3 points are just so important. I bet you couldn't pass the class otherwise. And it was just ridiculous. It was the beginning of the year, and all the kids were looking around what the heck? So, unfortunately, I would like not to believe this story because it's just such a misuse of power. It's just such a terrible conduct. But honestly, I do believe it. I hate it. I then discovered something very interesting. When searching her name online, I found she was being paid by her university to do research into the methods of using mathematics to make relative decision processes in a business environment. I decided to look into some aspects of that particular research grant and noticed that they were very, very similar to the work she had assigned us in our unapproved assignment 2. With this, I added this into my complaint report and decided to copy into my report the contact details of the funding bodies included, mainly European Union grant sources due to my country. Oh, okay, so that makes sense. Which included what repercussions would come about if the funds were used improperly. Over a week, I collected my masterpiece, which should have been at most a 3-page report, was now a fully bound 120-page complaint report with an appendix, contents, etc., and full academic report style. I had some friends in a law degree go over it and advised me to seek compensation of some sort due to my mental health crisis as a result of Miss B, so I enclosed my request for some gesture of goodwill to be made by the university. I was not specific, as although I was high on the adrenaline of getting back at Miss B, I was still battling with newly diagnosed depression. Thanks, Miss B. I submitted it, having it bound specially for the occasion. 2 weeks later, all classes with her were canceled. Not just our classes, but university-wide. It turned out she broke a lot of academic rules. Miss B had forged exam results, bullied an international student, or, as I thought, was being racist, and many other things. It was revealed she was using students to aid in her research she was being paid to conduct, which was a nail in her coffin. In other words, she was being paid to do research and passing said work onto other students without disclosure, consent, compensation, as she was being paid to do it, etc. It was a massive no-no in not only our student body, but other teachers as well. She was dismissed and fired with all professional accreditation lost. In other words, no way of coming back to the field of teaching or academia. All students got an automatic pass, and a portion of our student loans were paid as compensation. We lost many battles, but we won the war. I still battle with depression to this day, but I graduated with first-class honors. So I guess I wasn't that stupid after all. I am fine now, happily in a great job with a great wife and kids. I love a good ending. I love good endings. I like this story. I really, really wish this was some fake thing. You know, teachers would never do anything like... I've had too many experiences with bad teachers, especially math teachers. I don't know if it's just my school system. It's great. It's awesome. Reading, learning, extracurriculars, the amount of opportunities you have. It's great. The math departments are the worst. I have no idea where they came from. Every single subject is great, except for math. The teachers have no idea what they're doing. I don't know, some new thing was implemented where they are only keeping on teachers who are coaches, and essentially that means most of the math teachers have a math degree, and they don't have a teaching degree. So there's an issue with that. And then they just talk about, there's like clear favoritism to athletes too, which is also an issue. And it's, for some reason, it shows up more in math and social studies, but honestly, most of the social study teachers are still great and like really into learning and teaching and helping the kids out. Math teachers, I had one good math teacher over a span of multiple years, and I don't know why, but when you get the good ones, it's awesome. The rest of the time, it just kind of sucks. Yeah, I'm glad this person was able to overcome that. I wish it had ended up like better for them. They went through a really rough time. Good thing today, the little babies are growing. I hope you guys will be able to see them on film next time. I know they kind of just looked like an empty take yesterday, and I apologize for that. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good little YouTube stuff. I hope you guys did like it, though, and if you did, I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.